Hey, it's Jim and Kari. This is the best trip ever, and we have just gotten back from Los Cabos and a brand new resort. Montage has opened up a resort in Los Cabos called appropriately Montage Los Cabos.
Yeah, it was nice to be able to take a quick sun break and head down to Mexico for 3 nights and warm up a little at this brand new property just opened in June of 2018.
Now, we were actually supposed to go when it just opened, but there was a threat of hurricane and we didn't go. But in the end, it didn't matter because the hurricane didn't do any damage.
Yeah, Hurricane Bud decided to put a little spin on our trip. And so the hotel had just opened, so they decided to be precautionary and close. So we didn't end up going, but we were lucky that 6 months later we actually got to reschedule. So here we went.
And even though it's 6 months old, it still looks fresh, it still looks new, and it still looks fabulous. If you're from the United States, when you first go, I guess we should talk about this first. Let's talk about Cabo in general. Cabo used to mean, it's still there, but it used to mean Cabo Wabo. It used to mean the giggling marlin. It was sort of a younger, drunker party area. And really, sort of the dynamic of Cabo has changed and continues to change.
Yeah, it used to be, 2 and 3 star all-inclusive resorts, all you can drink, party all night. You can still do that, but they've definitely put a turn to it. And now almost every single hotel that's opening is 5-star. If you've been to Cabo and you haven't been there in the last 20 years, you're going to be in for a huge shock. When you come in from the airport as you're heading from San Jose del Cabo, heading to Cabo San Lucas, the corridor used to be miles and miles of nothing. Occasionally there was an older hotel there, but now it is one 5-star hotel after another. I can't even keep track of all the hotels that are opening right now.
Is this a conscious effort? What is happening?
Absolutely. I think that they're finding that West Coast travelers want something close. For us, it was 3 hours, 45 minutes nonstop from Seattle. And it's also great for Southern California travelers. They're only 2.5 hours away. It's safe. They don't tend to get a lot of rain because it's an arid climate. So I think they've really put the focus on people that maybe want a shorter getaway. Not that they won't accept a longer getaway, but it's great for people like us that want to do 3 nights and maybe instead of going to, say, Las Vegas, we're going to go to Mexico for a long weekend.
Get some sun, enjoy the pool, have a little culture. It's very nice. So let's talk about the Montage Los Cabos. For Americans, if you're going to go down there, it's another resort that is trying to embody, and I'd say rather successfully, modern Mexico. For many people, because of the arid climate, the cacti in Los Cabos area, and the design choices, this looks a little like Arizona. It looks a little like the Southwest.
Yeah, I noticed you said that right away. You felt you were in Arizona, like we were staying at the Biltmore or someplace we'd stayed before. One thing to keep in mind, if you remember Cabo from 25 years ago, back in the day, way back when I was first getting into the business, there was a property that was called Hotel Twin Dolphin, and that was kind of the iconic. There were 2 luxury properties, the Hotel Palmilla, which is still in business, and the Hotel Twin Dolphin. Well, years have passed, and the Twin Dolphin closed, and this is actually the piece of real estate the Twin Dolphin used to be on in this gorgeous bay. So that is where the Montage bought the property and has since built their brand new property. So it's a brand new build, but they're using the original property from Hotel Twin Dolphin.
I think one of the biggest attractions of the Montage Los Cabos is Cabo just in general, because you're right there where it can be very dangerous to swim, even dangerous to walk near the water at times. This is in a bay, and not only is it a walkable beach, but it's a swimmable area. A lot of day trip boats come here to go snorkeling and things, so this really has an advantage over many other resorts in Los Cabos.
Yeah, I can count on one hand the number of properties that truly are swimmable and swimmable beaches. A lot of them will say that they are, but really when you get right down to it, there aren't too many of them. And this one definitely is. We saw people out paddleboarding and snorkeling and swimming. And again, the day sailors are coming in, and everything is right there. And it's on a very safe stretch of beach because it's on a protected cove, and it's absolutely stunning.
Keep in mind, because it's Mexico, all beaches are public, so there will be the public there with you enjoying the beach. But the resort has set up some chairs, it's set up activities, cabanas, umbrellas for you to enjoy, and there is service too, out on the beach. Now, it's not the finest sand in the world, but it is a pretty area.
Yeah, I was surprised that it was almost kind of a pebbly sand. I tried to go barefoot, but that was not a wise thing to do on my part. But I mean, grab a pair of flip-flops. You can walk down to the ocean and walk in the water, and you can snorkel, you can swim. I mean, we got out there, 8:30 in the morning, and we were the only people out there. We saw people that were going for nice long walks on the beach. They were walking up to the hillsides for great sunrise views. It's absolutely stunning. And again, you get full service when you're out on the beach. If you're a hotel guest, you get chairs, you've got your umbrella set up. They'll have everything that you could think of, so you can park yourself on a beach chair all day, or you can go to the pool.
And Montage has lots of pools, lots of hot tubs. It's got an adults-only pool. It's got a play area with fountains and sort of a sandbox with toys and a small pool for kids. It's got family pools. It's got many different levels, many different tiers, and many different areas. There's plenty of pool space for everybody.
Yeah, it did not feel crowded at all. I couldn't tell what the occupancy level was because the most people we ever saw was later in the day or maybe at dining, but it's definitely family friendly. One of the things that Montage prides themselves on is their kids program, and it's included, and it's called Paint Box. So you're going to see kids throughout the day. They may be up in their play area, in their kids pool, in their sandbox, or the kids attendant will come down and get them. I saw kids out doing something, and they had some sort of thing I noticed yesterday when we were checking out, that they were doing, like, you collect badges or pins or something, so you go on different explorations to collect pins, and they had about a dozen of those. So very family friendly, but we spent the time out at the adult pool, which is the one that overlooked the beach and was closest to the beach, and we parked ourselves in a couple lounge chairs. We had an umbrella. It was great. When you sit down, they get you set up at your chair. They bring you a bucket that's full of ice and 4 bottles of water, and there was no charge for that. So no nickel and diming, which I really appreciate.
Now, it's not an all-inclusive. You do pay for the food. You do pay for the beverage.
Yeah, it's definitely a luxury property. You want to keep that in mind. This is not going to be an inexpensive place to sit and order nachos and beers out by the pool. I mean, you want to go ahead and, budget for it, that if you're going to order a beer, it's going to be, $7 to $10 for a beverage. And so you want to keep that in mind. Lunch, $75 for lunch, a minimum $150 for dinner if you're going to eat on the property. But again, you're getting 5-star service and gourmet food.
Very nice service. I thought the staff, plenty of staff.
Oh, yeah. And what I really like is, boy, they really know what's going on, and they are on point. They knew when we arrived what our names were. And poor Jim's used to being calling Mr. Mullen on all of our trips. And this time they knew that what his name was, and he was referred by his last name and not mine for once. And they were aware as to what your interests were, and they really paid attention. Oh, where are you going to for dinner? What can we interest you in? Oh, I know that you like the following. So they were really on point and on high-touch service.
The restaurants are nice. They have a nice beach restaurant near the pool, and then they have the restaurant that we ate at.
Yeah, they have a Mexican restaurant, which is kind of nouveau cuisine Mexican. That is the one place where I ordered guacamole, and they had quinoa and kale in it. So I did ask them if they could just make traditional, because why mess with perfection with guacamole? That was a fantastic gourmet Mexican restaurant. And then they had the other one, which is down beachfront, which is open for breakfast and lunch. And then for dinner, it's this full seafood restaurant. And we had lunch there a couple days in a row, and it was fabulous. They also have kind of a coffee bar that also serves, you can get a variety of things from hummus platters to sandwiches to their world famous popsicles, which were fantastic. And that's more on the grab and go side. So there's about 3 options when it comes to dining. Plus you could also do in-suite dining if you choose to. But the nice thing with doing this kind of property is you're only about 10 to 15 minutes max from downtown Cabo San Lucas. So what we find is a lot of people like to go into town for dinner. And I was kind of listening to people at the pool, and they would say they'd eat breakfast at the hotel, they'd maybe have a snack for lunch, and then everybody went into town for dinner because there's so many gourmet restaurants now in Cabo to choose from.
Well, not only that, but a lot of times you go to resorts and you've got to get your towel out, or you've got to claim your pool space. You've got to get your cabana or what have you early in the morning. And I think because there's so many activities in Cabo, that didn't seem to be the case.
No, I think we even called this kind of a late rising resort. I mean, we were out there at 8 or 8:30 just because because that's what we do. But it didn't start to get real activity until close to the noon hour. Maybe people were out golfing. I mean, you could have easily put in, 18 holes by then. And when the weather's cooler, people could have gone out whale watching or snorkeling. So people kind of filtered in the afternoon, but it never felt crowded. Never once at all.
Let's talk about the rooms. The rooms have got a very open design, very tall buildings. All of the rooms are sort of rectangular with 2 rooms on top, 2 rooms on bottom with very high ceilings, lots of surface.
Oh, yeah, definitely good square footage on these rooms. Ours had a lovely king bed, it had a couch, and then a desk area, huge bathroom, and your favorite, the outdoor shower. And then they also had a great terrace, which had a great couch and a couple of chairs overlooking the pool area.
Yeah, that shower was incredible. They've got an indoor and outdoor shower, so you can shower outside, or you can keep the sliding glass door closed, and you can shower inside. I didn't use that, but that looked like it might get a little messy, but I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure they're used to it. Plus, they have a big bathtub, you have your water closet, and you've got 2 sinks for both partners.
And tons of closet space. There were 3 closets. I couldn't believe how much closet space there was for this particular size of a room. But the rooms are really well appointed. Lots of electronic plugins by the bed, which is one of my pet peeves in hotels, is when there's one outlet and it's hiding behind the headboard and you have to unplug everything to get to it. Here, there were multiple outlets right there on each nightstand, and it was really convenient. And again, water bottles in the room, an espresso machine, and then of course they had a mini bar that was pay as you go. But I didn't feel like I was being nickeled and dimed with $4 for a bottle of water, like a lot of the mid-range hotels we've been finding lately.
Mentioned the service was on point. We had Stephanie as our person who took care of the room, and she left us a little gift, which was very nice.
She noticed that Jim was wearing a luchador sweatshirt when we arrived, and so a couple days later, she left a couple luchador gifts in our bed when we came back from being at the pool. It was just one of those, special touches that she saw what it was of interest to him, and then made a point of going to find something to get him a little gift.
It was very sweet. Thank you, Stephanie. Now, there is one thing we probably do need to talk about, the design of the room. The first night, now as we mentioned, the walls are very tall and there's a lot of surface space, particularly when you enter into the building that you're staying in. There's walls there. It can be very echoey. Each individual area, like I said, a lot of surface space, and it seemed to be very loud, particularly our first night.
Yeah, the first night, I don't know if there was a bachelorette party going on. There was a wedding, but there was a lot of outside noise, and I think the people upstairs must have turned their music on and either passed out or gone out for the evening and forgot it was on. So it was on the loud side, which that was probably my only disappointment, was that it was loud. And if you could hear, footsteps, but they're going to have to figure out how to remedy that. I don't know if it means putting in thicker rugs or how you fix that, but that would probably be my only drawback for such a well-appointed room. It was definitely on the noisier side.
Yeah, usually, like, for example, if you're staying at a more traditional designed hotel, like you'll hear your neighbors, maybe they're chatting as they come down the hall briefly, or they're chatting as they go into their room. Well, because of the design choice outside with the tall walls, it's an echo chamber, so you really hear them even louder. Same thing, like I said, there was an area kitty corner to us, and they must have been, like I said, partying or something, and we heard them well into the morning hours.
Yeah, and it just could have been a fluke. My colleagues were there about 2 months ago, but they were off in a different section, they told me, of the hotel that was way off on the side, and they said it was super silent where they were at. Could have just been a number of things. So I would like to think that, they'll probably take things into consideration when it comes to at least the noise level, and maybe putting in a couple thicker rugs or something like that where you're not going to get the echo chamber, because that is the one drawback with having high ceilings, is everything bounces off of them.
And we did mention it to the staff, and the next 2 nights there were no problems at all. So I don't know if people were moved, I don't know if people left, or it was just coincidence, but just something to keep in mind with that design choice. But again, the staff is great. The amenities are great. Everything is great, but it just there's this one thing that the architecture and the construction people chose could be an issue.
Yeah, the grounds of the property are stunning because it's a desert climate. Everything is going to be cactus and some palm trees, but it was just really different. I'm so used to going to Mexico and having it be green and lush, and here it's just kind of the opposite with the desert climate, much like Palm Springs. So it's really pretty to have that as an alternative as opposed to, everything I'm used to seeing in all the other parts of Mexico I've been to.
Who do you think should stay at Montage Los Cabos?
I think someone that values luxury, that wants a high service, that doesn't necessarily want a big party scene with a bunch of people having drinking contests in the bar, and in the swim up bar. Granted, they do have a swim up bar, but remember, you're paying per cocktail, so you're not going to be doing shots 4 at a time because each one of those shots is going to cost you. So someone that really wants to get in the ocean and swim and snorkel. I was listening to a gentleman yesterday out of the pool who just got back from about an hour of snorkeling, and he said he saw thousands of fish, much better than he'd seen in the Caribbean most recently, and they sounded quite well traveled. So if you appreciate being in the ocean and that's a priority to you when going to a beach resort and going to Cabo, this would be a property to consider. And it's one of my Virtuoso preferred hotels, so you're going to get breakfast for 2 daily, resort credits, and some extra bells and whistles when you book through your Virtuoso agency.
So one of the things we always ask, Montage Los Cabos, what are your 3 favorite things?
My 3 favorite things are the guacamole, not with quinoa and kale, just the traditional, which I did order 3 days in a row with the pico. My second favorite thing is the beach. I think that beach is absolutely stunning, especially for being in Cabo. Beautiful crystal blue water and the fact that it's swimmable. And number 3, and I hadn't even mentioned it, was the bed. That bed was a giant marshmallow, and that's how I kind of gauge my luxury beds now. So excellent linens, really good down comforter. Everything was so comfortable, you did not want to get out of bed. Those are my top 3.
My 3 favorite things, I think the staff is excellent. They were always on point. I loved the giant shower because I love giant showers. And I think I love all the pool choices, from the infinity pool overlooking the beach for the adults, to the hot tubs that are connected, to the different pools for different people and different things that you want. I think you're going to love the pool area. It's tiered, so you can find a place that just fits you and your style perfectly. So I think those are my 3 favorite things.
Yeah, I agree with you on those too. It was hard to pick 3 because there were so many wonderful things. And to think that only 3 nights we were able to find so many great things about it. But just a really great getaway. I mean, I think Cabo's perfect. If you don't have a lot of time for a trip, but you want to warm up in the winter or get some sunshine, I think there's not a better place to go to than just popping down to Cabo for a weekend.
When are some good times to book?
Sooner than later. I mean, there's a lot of promos out there, but now we're starting to go into the season where we're getting President's Day week, that winter break, spring break's coming up. So if you are thinking, I would get it done sooner than later. Luckily, it is still a newer property, so they have more availability than some of them, but there's a lot of competition in that 5-star market too. So they'll be having some promotions, and if you're thinking of going, I'm happy to help you out.
How can people get a hold of you?
They can reach me at Kari@stellartravel.com.
So Montage Los Cabos, it's got great staff, it's got some wonderful pools and fabulous guacamole. So be sure to contact Kari at stellartravel.com, and Montage Los Cabos can be part of your best trip ever.
Adios.